It's drum talk again. How is everybody doing out there? I am not new to YouTube, but I'm definitely new to sharing and pushing the page a little bit. Um, it's an interesting what's out there and the promises people make. But with my own students, people have asked me in the past. You speak all the time about this with us. You should speak about it a little bit to the everyday person in public. But I would say drumming. How do we go about this? How do we get better? How do we improve? Want to be a professional drummer. I'm 15, I'm 14. I want to take the steps. Well, the steps, like anything else, it's like if you're a mason, which I've been for 40 years. Yeah, I've moved more stone than anybody you'll probably ever meet. But still, I've always kept up a high interest in my drumming career. In my drumming career, played in lots of cruise ships, Boston Symphony Hall, 70s hit group, Tavares, Herb Reed and the Platters, gospel great Lee Mitchell, a lot of R&B soul bands and that kind of stuff. So how do you get to that point? There's a lot of people that are going to promise you everything under the sun. Just my program is better than everybody else's. And it may be. I don't know that, but I do know. I do know this. If you want to get good at something, I don't care if it's a plumber, a mason, an auto mechanic, whatever it is. The one thing that I see not being done is that you have all this information. There's so much information that you just don't focus on anything. You're not focused. You have to know what to do. What do you do? I'm young. First of all, you have to learn how to speak the language. The language is vast and it's broad, depending on what your love is. Musically, I really just teach one way, and that is to experience the vocabulary, get the vocabulary that you need to actually have the conversation. To me, that rudiments are very important. I mean, I think the Stickings and the Charlie Wilcoxon books and the Joe Morello books and the Syncopation books are all it's just very important. Learn your rudiments. Learn how to speak the language, whether it's bop, straight ahead jazz, R&B, funk, soul, gospel, heavy metal, whatever it is, learn how to speak the language. So I think that's number one, and take that seriously. To me, that was looking in the mirror, practicing my chops, whether it was traditional or match grip. And getting good at that, really, really, really getting good at that. And it's something that I think you probably continue well into your career. It's calisthenics. It's memorizing sticking so that you don't have to think. So if you have a certain space within a group of notes, you're not thinking about it. You're actually having the conversation. And so that's very important. Getting with a great teacher, I think, is important. Accountability is very important. So that's number one. And just, whether it's basic reading, I can't tell you how many kids that I've taken in that have been studying for 2 to 3 years and they can't read simple quarter notes. Just a simple Vic Firth 1, 2, 3. Louis Bellson book, maybe just go through some simple. It's all you need. Just learn the simple reading. Won't take you that long to get under your belt. Just get it together because you don't know if you're going to get a chart in the studio. You want to be able to write something out very quickly that you hear. So transcribing is important. The other thing I'm going to say is listening. If you love bop drumming and you love that thing, and you got to check people out. Or if you love everything, like I'm just gonna show you a couple CDs. I don't know. I've probably already bought 19,000 of these, but anyway, just stuff to listen to. This is a great little record, man. Adam Ditek, Egyptian Secrets, kicks ass. That dude is a great player. I've seen him live a few times. Good player. Art Taylor, is another little trinket. All these guys that were really playing in the 40s and 50s and 60s, the guys today, not doing anything new. You got bigger kits, you got shinier kids, you got some more bells and whistles. But if you watch a lot of these guys, they're not doing anything different than Philly Joe did or Art Blakey did. Jack DeJohnette did, what Jimmy Cobb did, Max Roach did, or Louis Bellson did. They're really not. So that's kind of something. Dexter Gordon with Art Taylor. I saw a little thing on Art Taylor, and I said, man, Art was playing really nice, man. And so I wanted to check those out. Of course, I bought, Chick Corea and the Electric Band 2. I've checked that out, and I love Gary Novak, man. He's a great player, and I love Weckl too on the, and I did buy some of that. Red Garland, man, that's another great little record. Checking that out. Walt Weiskopf, another great record, man. Billy Drummond on drums, another great player. Little Weckl with Chick Corea. That's a good one right there. Like that. I've got a little Daphnis Prieto, who I kind of saw a number of years ago with Michel Camilo, who I always go see when he's in town. Haven't seen him for a while. And then I got Larry Willis, again, with Billy Drummond. That's cool. And then the Chick Corea Electric Band. Yeah. Good stuff. So I kind of do buy and support my jazz guys, and try to listen or refresh a lot or reboot. So you've got to be always listening to the language. I think it's important to it's like reading a book when you're 20 and reading a book when you're 60. You're going to get some other information out of it. You lived your life. You've gained wisdom. The things that are important to you now were probably not important to you then, or vice versa. So learn the language. Okay, that's very important. Listen to as many people as you possibly can. And play with as many people as you possibly can, no matter what the style of music. If you just want to jump in on a rock gig, go do the rock gig. Have some fun. Learn and it's a different thing. It's a different bass drum and snare drum. Nailing it a little differently than a bebop thing or a jazz thing, where your main instrument might be the ride. You're working off that a little bit more. So there's a lot of different concepts. So learn those things, and the only way you're going to learn them is to read. And the last thing I'll say is, nobody on the internet is going to make you a better player. They're not. Unless you buy into the system and you work and you put in, a number of hours a day. Everything is, I'm going to be great today without doing anything to get there. It's really all about focus and making sure that your practice is 1 hour of rudimental exercises, and if that leads into something else, great, on your pad and your drum set. Another thing would be learning a certain lick, if you want to call that, or melody, and then applying it to your drum set, and then learning other music where you're sitting down and you're playing to tunes, you're playing along to tunes that you want to learn, and you're spending that time learning them, and then doing things you can't do. Okay, so that's really important. A lot of people sit down and play a lot of stuff they can play, including me, and you've got to get to a point where it's uncomfortable, but and then keep track of this stuff. It's like anything else. If I want to be a great stonemason, I need to learn the craft from those who came before me, and I have, and everybody does their own thing. I remember playing with Tavares back in the day, and I was working full time, 40, 50 hours a week, playing with Tavares, touring here and there. Got done with work on a Friday, 3 o'clock. You're driving down to New York City to play in Manhattan. Start the gig at I think we started at 12 o'clock, 11, 12. Play till 2:30, and then drive home. Hi, boo boo. So that I could start work on Saturday morning at 7:30. So that was typical for me. And I was playing a reggae band as well. I was playing an African band called Ibrahim's World Beat, which is very interesting. Reggae, African, and Tavares. So I was doing those 3 gigs while working full time, and I still had time to practice. So it can be done. I'm not full time working 40, 50 hours a week now and finding time to do the gigs and play and practice. So for me, practicing is very important. So everything that we do and that we learn, they're all just things to get us to the next level and just putting in the time. My thing is more about melody. And last year, I've done a couple books. The Contemporary Drummer, which is a kind of a cool thing. It's basically like 120 grooves, that I transcribed with some very, influential people: Steve Smith, Omar Hakim, Steve Gadd, Weckel, all those John Robinsons, Jeff Beccaro. It's like you're reading the stuff and it's cool. But the last book I did last year was called Unlocking Your Creative Potential, and basically it deals with melody, because I believe melody is at the crux of everything. It's in the groove. It's in everything. It's the tune. So I think I don't offer programs necessarily. I like to share some of my stuff. The only things that I do, I have my book available at michaelidrums.com. And again, it's Unlocking Your Creative Potential. Just goes over, there's no set thing. Yes, there's plenty of things written out, but as we give you a 1 measure or 2 measure phrase based upon melody, you're going to come up with what you want. And you could come up with 4 things, or you could come up with 400 things. It makes it fun to sit down and work out stickies. Before you know it, 3 hours has gone by and you're like, wow, I've got 15, 18 new things based on or derived upon from that melody. So I think that's important. And there's downloads available. Like if you go to the website, the book is available and there's downloads. So if you want to download on a certain section, you can. And they're like $12.99. They're pretty cheap. So there's no program. There's no ongoing program. Although if anybody, want to ask me a question, if you do buy the book, I'm happy to help out, have a conversation. And if I can help you move in that direction, it's great. But I'm not going to make you a better player. I'm definitely going to make you think a little different. But, yeah. No, everybody thinks it's a magic elixir. Back when, I'm 60, so back when, we were learning and playing, we were accountable to the teachers. We were accountable. Or they bounced you. You were out. You were out. Gary Chafee, Bob Galati, Alan Dawson, Steve Houghton, Casey Sherrill, David Garibaldi. All these guys were Efren Toro. Chuck Flores, another Joe Beccaro, Ralph Humphrey. I mean, if you didn't do your thing, and I would say this more to the guys in Boston, where I'm from, the Gary and Alan and Bob Galati, rest in peace. He was one of my favorite teachers. He got me thinking a little bit different and melody and playing the tune. So I'll leave you with that. It's always kind of cool, and we're going to talk about maybe drum set selection, cymbal selection, what you should really be thinking about. What do you want to play? Uh, it's all about your ears and what sounds good to you. There's a lot of sales gimmicks out there, so know what you want. But again, the main objective of this was really there's no shortcuts. Nobody's going to make you a great player unless you put the time into it. So again, get your rudiments together. Listen as much as you can. Have a positive direction. Be a positive person. Be a nice guy. Be the first one at the rehearsal, the last one to leave. First one at the gig, last one to leave. Well, maybe not the last one to leave. I'm always packed up pretty quick. But, be that person. Help out. All those things get remembered. Even like, the guy, you might walk into a gig and the guy setting up the PA, help out. Do something to help out. I mean, people remember that stuff. So with that being said, there's going to be, again, the Drum Talk thing happens like maybe once every month or once every other month. So please, if there's anything that you want to shout out and have a conversation about, let's do it. All right, man. MichaelIDrums.com. Check out the book, or the new book, Unlocking Your Creative Potential. Check it out, because honestly, there is exploring melodic rhythm and melodic phrases. That's cool. Mixed sticking patterns is very, very cool, because you're kind of doing some 3, 5, 7s, 6s, and the melody is created by that. So there's also stickings available for that. So that's kind of really interesting. And then you're just exploring stuff. So that's about it. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to have I thought it was Friday night, it's Thursday night. Cheers. My girlfriend bought me this funky little bourbon glass. I'm going to have one little bourbon, and I'm going to listen to some music and spend the rest of the evening checking out some of my heroes. So with that being said, thank you so much for checking it out, and we'll see you next time.